I'm Cheryl.
Hi, I'm Grace.
And this is Bruna. So I think in Singapore, there's a lot of emphasis on academics. At least that was how I was brought up. I was brought up to get the A's, studying hard. No point doing sports, not gonna get you anywhere. I was brought up that way. And I was even motivated with money by my parents. So, for every A I got for my O levels, I would get $100. Oh, yeah. So, I was motivated to get 8 A's because that's $800 to a 12-year-old is a lot of money.
Wow. My parents must have been damn stingy.
Did they not use money? How did they motivate you to study hard then?
Okay, I mean, it was always toys or games because I'm easily bribed like that, right? I'm quite cheap like that.
Okay.
Right.
And then?
So Grace, what about you? Growing up, how did you grow up? Were you in Singapore? Were you overseas?
I grew up here in Singapore, born and bred. But I've actually spent a lot of time overseas. But I think also because my family's quite a new family to Singapore. Me being first generation Singaporean, I think for us it was different. Even for me, I grew up in a shophouse in Chinatown, old Chinatown. Trishaw Chinatown.
Her neighbor had a pet monkey.
Yeah, on a leash.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It just sounds insane, but yeah, that was my childhood until I was about 3 and a little bit. Yeah.
I think I grew up the typical way, exactly as you said. We were told to I had a plan, to get married by 25, first child by 28, second child by no later than 32. So that was my life plan. I studied, so I was fully born and bred in Singapore, never studied overseas, never worked overseas. I was put through the entire Singapore education system. And it does shape you in a way where, we are, or at least for me, when I was younger at least, I was always afraid to lose. I think I'm still a bit kiasu, right? Okay, fine. What else? Is FOMO part of, is it a Singaporean thing?
No,
Not really. Okay. Yeah, but
We can touch on that later.
Okay. Yeah, but afraid to lose, I think that was one thing. So, I was just very focused on getting results. I must study hard, I must make my parents happy. And then I don't know, I was just very bounded by societal norms. That's why I also fell prey to eating disorders, because I just thought that being skinny would make me more liked, would make me more accepted. So yeah, I was quite, I don't know if caged is the right word, but I mean, there's nothing wrong. Okay, I must disclaimer, there's nothing wrong with the way, it's just, this was how I was brought up, and I don't find anything wrong with it. It's just that as I got older, my own set of values changed slightly. Yeah.
What about yourself, Grace?
I think for me, my parents were sort of different in that way, where they were go hustle and, go and do your own thing. I mean, my mom owned her own company when, in the 80s, a lady who's owning her own company was almost unheard of, right, in that time. And my mom did that. And I think it's just because that whole immigrant thing is so new, it's so fresh, whereas for a lot of other people, it would have been generations before, right? But maybe because the immigrant past was so new, so it was sort of we came here for a better future, so we're just gonna get it.
And how do you think that shaped you as maybe let's get a little bit of background on Grace.
Yeah.
What do you do and how do you shape?
Yeah, I own my own business.
Great.
I own a fitness and martial arts studio in Singapore.
Awesome. And how did that, I guess, motivate you? I guess growing up with your mom, owning her own business, and then you now doing your own thing.
I mean, honestly, it was a struggle. It was a struggle because then as a self-made woman, she had very high standards. But also sort of like, then there was this expectation, right, that I would grow up and be a part of that business and or run that business. So when I was in my late teens, it became more and more clear that I wasn't going to do it. And then so there was a lot of friction because of that.
Yeah, very much. And how did that make you feel, if you don't mind me touching on that?
Well, I sort of, in my teenage rebellion, sort of felt like it was very unfair because it was kind of like, well, you could pave your own way, why can't I? And I was always the artistic, creative, mad child, but her business was in like engineering and it just did not resonate with me. So I think kind of wanting to strike out on my own was a very big topic, kind of very big theme of my life at that time. Yeah.
And you think that sort of was consistent throughout the whole life?
Yeah, kind of wanting to in a way walk out of the shadow of my mother. Like I could not bear the thought of like taking over her company, because then that would be like, oh, I'm just living in her shadow.
I think, okay, first, a bit of background about my parents. My dad ran his own business as well. I mean, he did work for people, but eventually he started his own business. My mom has always been a tourist guide, so freelance, which probably explains why I also enjoy, being freelance and being self-employed and doing my own thing. So,
And talking a lot.
shh, yeah, my mom talks a lot. So, hey, if she watches this, you're going to be in trouble. And my dad was a very big disciplinarian, so I used to get caned by both of them, more by my dad. Like every Saturday, I remember he would take me swimming and then we'll come back, have lunch, and then he would have a stack of revision books. And I had to sit down with him and do the revision books. And if I get answers wrong or if I cannot get it, then he would whack me. Yeah. So there was a lot of pressure on me to do well
Academically.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure. Maybe being first child, they were not this strict when it came to my younger sister. So, maybe it's a first child thing. I don't know. Or maybe he got busier in life later. I don't know. But whatever it
I
is.
guess it's also always the story of like, oh, I did not get these opportunities when I was your age.
That's true. My dad had the grades, but the family didn't have the money to send him to university. So it could be like one thing. I mean, it's all out of good intention, right? They just want the best for us, and knowing that if you have a piece of paper in Singapore, you go far. I mean, that was the very old school mindset, right? But I think because of all this pressure and like I had to listen to them and take the instructions, and I was scared of them. I was intimidated by my dad. I think because of that, the only thing I could control was my weight. So I think part of that, like, wanting to be liked was one thing, like me, the social butterfly, just, wanting to have more friends. But at the same time, the weight thing was probably the only thing that I could control as a child, right? As a teenager. In those days, we didn't have social media. I would be like, it would be worse now. I was just watching MTV and like, wow, so pretty, wow, so hot. And I wanted to be like them.
But maybe that was the beginning already, I mean, during our time, when it was the onset of like these like young teenage bands,
yeah, that's true,
all that, and like, I mean, let's be real now, parents, like, like I hear stories of like from my parents that
not having enough to eat, right?
Yeah, or like, there was only one household that had a TV, so
yeah.
they didn't have access, they didn't have this much access to media in that way. And I think it wasn't fed to them the same way that it was to us. I think we were kind of the first generation that kind of really had that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe for you it could have been, being thrust into that at that age, and school, and maybe the people in school were, I don't know, not nice to you, or maybe they were also
I did better for O-levels. And then when I went to JC, I don't know why, I just didn't do as well. Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it's the way I study, or maybe I burnt out because I peaked at O-levels, I don't know. So I struggled in junior college academically. But I did a lot of running because I guess, you want to do well in something, right? So I like used to run a lot and try to make it to like the cross-country team, and I did. But that was also when my eating disorders peaked at the age of 18. Yeah, it was really bad at that time. I'm also, like, the age of 18, I remember I used to tell, because I was also in a girls' school for 10 years. Same, right? We were both in girls' schools for 10 years. And I went to JC, like, oh, boys! And then I was boy crazy. But for some reason, like, I never dated in JC, like, no boys asked me out, like, romantically. No boys, like, bought me flowers. Valentine's Day, like, oh, nothing. Like, just nobody. I live, like, one bus stop away from school. Nobody, like, offered to walk me home or walk me to school. Like, there was just none of this. I became the bro. Like, I had all these male friends who would walk me home or whatever, but it was because it was as a friend, then they would tell me, because they walk me only because they wanted to tell me about the girl that they like, and they need my help, so I was always the bros girl, the bros bro kind of girl. And I think that made it worse, because then I'm like, why? Is it because I'm not attractive enough? Is it because I'm not skinny enough? And then I remember telling somebody one day, like, if I'm a supermodel, I don't talk to you. Yeah. I was just so, like, I kept, I was so fixated on being skinny, because I just felt that would then get me a lot of attention. Yeah. And I think in those days, our parents also don't know anything about, like, eating disorders or what I was going through, right? My mom just, like, got worried and wanted to send me to a psychiatrist or psychologist, and I was like, no, I'm not sick, I don't want to go. And then my mom called me a scarecrow. I mean, it doesn't help, right? Your own mother, like, give you names. But it's not her fault. I mean, they really didn't know how to deal with this. It's not very new, right? Like you said. But yeah,
I mean, it's also Chinese families, lah, right? I mean, they haven't seen you for a full year, and then during Chinese New Year, it's like, "Boy, wait,
Like, hey, wow, you fat, eh? Oh, wow, thanks. Chinese New Year, happy Chinese New Year to you too. Yeah.
Not how are you?
It's a Chinese thing, I think it's Asian thing.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I mean, I guess it also didn't help, right?
Yeah, lor. So I think growing up, that was how I grew up in. There was a lot of expectation. There was a lot of pressure. My mom and my dad were, they wanted a lot out for me, and I was so scared of them. But as I got older, I mean, now I'm still, how to say, like, I break the rules, but I don't break the law. Does that make sense? Like, I dare to break rules. You know me lah, right? Shh, don't say things that I've done. But like, things that I wouldn't get in trouble with the law lah. But like, I'm not afraid to bend the rules.
Right.
I grew up becoming like that.
Yeah.
Because
But she is very afraid of the law, it's true.
Yeah. Shh. But bending the rules, I mean, there are people who like don't even want to bend the rules. You know what I mean? Like, but I dare to like bend the rules, and it could be because I was so restricted as a child.
Maybe.
Did you feel like you were like kind of trapped into a box, and then you just needed to break free by doing things that were maybe a little bit out of the norm, or people didn't really somewhat think that was right or good in their opinion? May not be a law-breaking thing, but it could be like
being a woman.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not against the law.
Like being motorsports girl. I mean, that was something I'm sure your parents weren't like thrilled about.
They're okay lah. I mean, they've always been freelance and doing their own thing. So
yeah, did they see the photos of the things that you did during your motorsports girls days?
They were just a bit concerned that the skirt was a bit short, but
Yeah,
other than that, that's all. Other than that, I mean, they pretty much let me do my own thing. That's one thing about them. Like, they will nag the hell out of you, but then like they will still let me go and do my own thing. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I also think it's part nature, part nurture, right? I grew up just wanting to be myself. So before I graduated, I already started freelancing. I was already writing for like car magazines and stuff like that. And then when I graduated, I went down the normal path, like got a job. I was a management trainee. I think it was more like a misfit. They put me to the wrong department. It wasn't so much that I couldn't work office hours, but it was more of that. And then I left. I went to a hotel and did PR regionally, so that was good. But eventually, I started writing more and more. Like my freelance journalist career picked up, and then I decided like I'm gonna quit and do my own thing. I was only 22 years old. It was scary because you never know, right? But then at that time I was like, look, you know what? I'm only 22. If I don't do it now, when will I ever do it? And what's the worst that can happen? Just go back work for lor. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that as well. It's just I just wanted to try. But this was very long ago, like 2010.
Okay, but also at that time to be able to kind of freelance and work for yourself was like not
a bit more
normal.
unheard of, right?
Yeah, not normal, right? And it was sort of like everybody's dream, whereas now it's sort of
because of social media. Then I think
more and more
people are
it's more mainstream to be a freelancer now as opposed to like our
How did you
time.
two?
You say, then I will fill in the details. She gives executive summaries, and then I just like add in the details after that. Because if I say it, we'll never end this interview.
That's right. So trust me, it's better I say it.
Fine, go.
We met. Okay, firstly, we met when she was a journalist. At my last business, she was actually interviewing my ex-business partner, and she came to the office. Apparently, I was grumpy that day.
But you always are.
But that was how we first met.
You didn't even remember that I had to tell you about it. Anyway, it was just very high. Oh, this is based on my business partner, and then
Yeah.
and then
So
little grumps walk past, and then yeah.
so that was our first chance
Encounter.
encounter.
Yeah.
Which is kind of strange because we've always lived in the same area. We went to the same primary school. So yeah, kind of strange that we never met till that day. But yeah, that was.
What date did we meet? Where did we meet? How?
Walao, I don't know. You also don't know, okay?
You don't know where? When we were properly introduced.
Oh, when we were properly introduced was
Yeah.
on the 1st of January.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like a quiz.
20 something.
Hey, you knew this.
Yeah, I forgot now.
2018.
Okay, but
At Angel's housewarming party.
that's right.
Yeah, she came late. She almost didn't want to go, but we were there, and then she had a pet bird at the time, and she had a photo of the bird on her shoulder, and I cackled the heck out because it was really funny, and that was how we became friends. It's very interesting, I think she's the only person like in all my relationships that I'm very patient with. Like, I have a temper, I mean, we all do, but I used to rise to anger very quickly, and I would be very defensive, and I would not listen, and I would but with her, for example, if I've done something wrong or I said something I shouldn't have, then she'll be like, oh darling, that wasn't very nice, then I'll be like, oh, sorry, then I will listen. But in the past, like, why cannot? Huh? Who say you know me? You know better me? I know and then I'll just be like, you very good me? And then I would be so quick to get angry. But then with her, there's a lot of trust. I think the key word here is trust. I trust that she only has good intentions for me, that she has my back. So whatever she says to me, right, I know it's only for my own good. So I will step back and okay, if she said that, then why did she say that? Or and I would actually listen. And I have not thrown anything at her before. So
That's great. She's alive.
yeah, and she's also the longest relationship I've ever been in. I couldn't even last a year.
Congratulations.
Stop it. Yeah, and yeah, it's just different. Like I feel like I'm a better person, and yeah, I think the keyword here is really trust and communication. We found a way to, extrovert versus introvert, it's a whole different set of challenge in itself, but we managed to figure out a way to communicate. I think it's important to always remember that your partner doesn't have it out for you. When they want to tell you something, if it's a form of criticism, it's not a bad thing. They're just looking out for you, and not like, hey, why are you so selfish? It's more like, she's like, oh, you could, that person was hurt if you didn't realize. I think when I was younger, I couldn't really be who I really wanted to be in that sense. But as I got older, and then I started being freelance, started doing my own thing, gained more confidence. still freelance after 14 years. And I think it's very hard because I'm very, very close to my parents and I really do love them a lot. So, and I always respected them. I've always like tried to give them what they want, whether it was good results or like getting to university in Singapore, etc. But this is just the one thing that I found very difficult to give to them, which is like, they wanted me to, marry a typical Singaporean boy, settle down in Singapore, have a kid or two, but I totally went off, and it was hard because they grew up in a generation where they were taught or they learned that being gay is bad, it's wrong, and I don't blame them. I think if you have grown up years and years and years of people telling you that it's wrong, it's very hard to change your mind. So I don't expect them to change their mindset. Like if they think that it's wrong, so be it. But I just ask for tolerance, which is like just not accept. There's a difference between acceptance and tolerance, right? So I think for me tolerance is enough. Yeah, but it was hard because they didn't speak to me for months when I first told them about, because they already knew her. We were friends, right, for a long time, and they already knew who she was. And there was even one time when my mom was like, "Hey, I'm scared that Grace like you and you're so close," and I still no lah. Yeah, and then eventually when we got together, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna go down so bad," and it did. They left me crying at the dining table by myself after I told them, and that was hard. That was really hard because and I think they were hoping that it would be a phase. They were just hoping that eventually they started speaking to me because my mother would need me to do things for her lah. But eventually they spoke to me again and we are okay now. In fact, they came over to our place for the first time yesterday. Yeah, first time. Like she asked to come. In the past when I always invite her over, she never wanted to come over. But for the first time, I'm like, huh? She also like, huh? She want to come? I'm like, yeah. And I think like I never wanted to set a timeline or like, everyone's like, oh, give them time, or I didn't want to hope as well. I just wanted to leave it as long as, and then for a long time she didn't join any of my family dinners or anything. Now she comes to my birthday dinners. Yeah, so I think small steps, baby steps, but it wasn't easy. Dealing with the friction is always never easy. It's always never easy doing something that your loved one doesn't like, right? It's always never easy, and there will be repercussions because they're older, their health isn't great, and the last thing I want to do is make them angry or make them unhappy. I just want to be I just want to do whatever I can do for them, right? But yeah, this is just the one thing, like in all my life, you want this result, I give you. You want me go here, I go. But it's just for one, can I just have something that I want because it makes me happy? Yeah.
Grace, how did you feel about it?
I mean, obviously it didn't feel great. Not so much for myself, but like I just didn't like that she was upset. Or that excuse me, or that it affected her that much. Yeah, so just mostly guilt. Yeah, I think for me, honestly, it's really, that has changed, right? The definition of success, over the years. And I think now that I'm older and more settled and kind of I think the reality of my mortality is kind of catching up, right? Where the reality is I don't have children. I'm not going to have children. I'm the only child, so once my parents go, like that's it. So I think for me, more and more, my definition of success is really leaving a legacy behind that maybe even represents or like outgrows me, of wanting to leave something that is better than me, I think. Yeah, in this world.
So when I was growing up, success to me meant having the 5 C's. the old 5Cs, like having money, having a house, a nice house, having a nice car. Money, I think when I was growing up, success equal to financial capability. But as I grew older, then you realize that yes, money is very important, that we need it to survive, but it's not everything. It's not the root of.
It's not the be all and end all.
Correct. Like, of course, we need it. I mean, Singapore is getting expensive. The world is getting expensive, and we do need money. But there are so many ways to define success, and I don't think it's about money anymore, because you can want money in the world, but if you're an asshole, what's the point? Like really, I rather, to me, success is being happy. I think this is a very simple question that people often don't ask themselves often enough. Right? Are you happy? Like, in the current situation that you're in, whatever it is, with work, with personal life, with social, are you happy? As simple as that. Like, when my friends are in toxic relationships and they're stuck and they're like, I don't have a good reason to leave, and I'm like, are you happy? That's all we need to ask, and like, what's stopping you from being happy? I mean, YOLO, right? This is the only life you have. If you're not going to do something for yourself, nobody's going to do it for you. So success to me is being happy, being true to yourself. Can you answer yourself? Knowing that there are people you can count on, and knowing that you can also be there for whoever that needs you, right? Like,
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, and I really appreciate it.